haven't seen you since Albania. Obviously, a tremendous performance, in both styles, in both weight divisions. How do you feel, and what's going on? Catch us up.
Yeah, I mean, ever since had world championships and then hopped right back into school, so that's new for me. I really enjoy it though. I'm at Iowa, and so just balancing that school wrestling lifestyle, and we had a little break for Christmas, and then right back here for training camp. So
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Iowa, you're a grad student, right? And talk about Iowa in particular and how, you, like you said, jumping right back in. You never really had to deal with that before. How's college season going for you, and how's Iowa going for you?
yeah, it's been different. Usually I'd only compete 4 to 6 times a year, so I already got, I want to say, 4 competitions in since world championships. So that's been really good for me to be able to kind of put myself out there consistently and be able to work on things that I'm working in the room and put those into practice actually in a competition setting. So that's been really nice to be able to have that opportunity to do that. School-wise, I mean, ever since I was out of high school, and really my last 2 years of high school, they were online. So actually being in person, in class, and being able to create relationships with other sports, other athletes, it's been really cool.
Has that helped you sort of mentally, just kind of being around more people instead of like, all right, I come to wrestling practice and just, I see you during wrestling practice, maybe at some events or, some hangouts, but getting that in school, presence at Iowa?
Yeah, no, it's been really cool. Like I said, I was always online. Even when I came here to train, I was doing school online, and I'd come in here, and these were the people I was around. So I get that aspect with the whole wrestling team. I come in for practices, I get to lift with them, but then also I have this whole other world outside of wrestling, which is really nice to kind of detach and be able to create those different relationships, like I said, with different sports, different people that don't even know wrestling. You get to meet them, they get to know wrestling, you bring more people into the sport. It's just really cool to be able to really open up the other side of the sport.
You talk about the growth. Before we go back to Iowa, talk about the growth of women's wrestling and how, Iowa's really leading the charge with their team, and other teams are adding, women's wrestling to their, universities and stuff like that. So talk about the growth of women's wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, when I was graduating high school, I didn't have an opportunity like Iowa. So that alone to me just shows within the last 4 years how much women's wrestling's really growing. So just looking at that, I didn't have that opportunity. I felt like I kind of had to pave my own way out of high school, and it worked out, and I had other opportunities and other things that I got to take part in that I wouldn't have been able to if I would have jumped right into a program like Iowa, if that was a possibility. But now that I get to do something like that, it's really cool to see how women wrestling is really growing and how these other universities are picking up the sport. If we just look at Iowa alone, how many people want to be a part of that program, and that's really cool to see.
Yeah, and speaking of Iowa, talk about, what changes they have made for you positively. What have they been able to bring to you on the positive note and towards wrestling? And obviously, we know on the mental side, just being in person, but on the wrestling side, what have they been able to bring to you?
I'd say ever since high school, ever since I was here, I've kind of had to really kind of scavenge for resources. It's not always something that was just like given to me. I was at UNC, I was down in Stillwater for a little bit, and as much as those coaches and those people made me a priority, I wasn't a priority. And it's really cool to go to a program that prioritizes women's wrestling. Like, we have so many resources, so many people behind us, so many people that want to support us. It's really, if you go there, I don't know a reason that you won't be successful. Like, you have to find a way not to be. And I think that's really cool that you have so many people backing you up on the mat, off the mat. I just think it really sets you up to be a great person on and off the mat. So, yeah.
Talk about, obviously you had Coach Chandler, and she's an amazing person and has done amazing things in the sport. What has she been able to teach you, and how does she motivate you each and every day?
Yeah, when I came here out of high school, Carissa was one of the resident coaches here, so me and her go back a ways. And even before that, she was on tours with me when I was just a cadet and schoolgirl. So she's always been someone I've looked up to, not only on the mat but off the mat, how she is able to kind of bring that influence into my wrestling. And we've always kept in contact, and of course, like, that's a big reason I am at Iowa is Clarissa. We kept that relationship. I've always kept in contact with her, and like you said, like, she's proven herself on the mat and has very high accolades for especially us in women's wrestling for the United States. So it's really cool to be able to pick her brain every day. She'll come in and do footwork with me. We'll be doing ropes after practice, and we've even got like a group now to do it with us. Like, people just want to jump in, and it's just cool, the standard that not only Clarissa has built, but Iowa wrestling, or Iowa's women's wrestling has really built, especially with Kennedy coming in. Kylie was there previously and has really built up and helped that program, and all the girls just want to be good. And to see me, Kennedy, Kylie, like, come to these camps and be on world teams winning world medals, and then like we have coaches that hold us to a very high standard, like Clarissa, like Tanya, Gary Mab. Like, it's just Iowa women's wrestling there just has a very high standard, and a lot of that has to do with our coaching staff, and I think it's going to be something a lot of people are going to want to be a part of going forward.
You know, you're talking about your teammates and stuff like that. What excites you going forward for the rest of the college season?
I think just everyone, like, feeds off of each other. You know, you see like me, Kylie, Kennedy doing extra. You see us, like I said, coming to these camps. Like, that makes the girls back home like crave to come to one of these. How am I able to get there? How do I get to a spot like that? And I think that's really cool to see, and it's really cool for those girls that come up and want to like pick my brain about like what I'm doing. Maybe I take them down, or they take me down. It's like we're picking each other's brain. It's nothing like, it's competitive, but in a sense that we're gonna grow from this. It's not that, oh, she beat me and now like we're enemies. It's when we're in the room, we're gonna all learn from each other, and I think that's what's really big about being at Iowa.
And finally, you know, you think you're gonna stay even after you graduate as a graduate student? You know, you're kind of just there, you know, almost like almost 1 year. You're gonna stay there for a while?
Mm-hmm. That's the plan. Yeah. For me, I'm a Midwest girl. I'm glad to be back in the Midwest, and that's just home for me, and that's where I feel my best. I have what I need there, and for me personally, if it's my choice, I see myself being at Iowa the rest of my career.